When you watch a top-level football match, what do you see? A lot of running, right? Players sprinting, chasing, closing down. It looks like pure chaotic energy. But what if I told you that all that chaos is actually a highly sophisticated, data-driven system? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and decode the pressing algorithm that has completely redefined modern defending.
So is it all just a mad dash? Is winning the ball back simply about wanting it more, about having more gas in the tank than the other team? For a long time, that's kind of what we all thought. But the game today has evolved way, way beyond that idea.
And this quote right here, it gets to the absolute heart of it. Pressing is no longer just a simple instruction shouted from the sideline. It's a shared behavioral algorithm. Think of it like a piece of software programmed into every player, giving them a set of rules for exactly when, where, and how to hunt as a pack.
Okay, so if pressing is an algorithm, what are its lines of code? Well, it's all about recognizing specific moments or triggers that set the whole system in motion. Let's break down how the top teams are turning defense into a calculated science.
And the data on this is just staggering. Get this, teams that use these specific intelligent triggers instead of just pressing on instinct, they concede 22% fewer expected goals when they lose the ball. That is a massive advantage, and it's gained simply by being smarter, not just by running harder.
So let's get into the first and maybe the most universal trigger. And what's fascinating is that it has almost nothing to do with where the ball is. It's all about the opponent's body, and more specifically, their blind spot.
Just think about it for a second. A player gets the ball, but they're facing their own goal. Their back is to the entire attacking half of the pitch. That's a 180-degree blind spot. They literally cannot see the pressure coming. It's harder for them to turn, and their time to make a decision gets slashed to almost nothing. That is the perfect moment to spring the trap.
Now, this is where it gets really clever. The point isn't just to win the ball, it's to attack the opponent's mind. The goal is to create what's called cognitive panic. You force a player out of their fast, instinctive System 1 thinking and into their slow, clunky, deliberate System 2. In a game that's all about split-second decisions, forcing that tiny mental hesitation, it's absolutely lethal.
Okay, on to our second trigger. What if your best defender wasn't a person at all? What if it was just a white line painted on the grass? Because that's what elite teams do. They've learned to weaponize the sideline, turning it into an extra defender.
They do this by creating something called a choke zone. It's a very specific corridor near the touchline. And the rule is brutally simple. The moment the ball enters this zone, the entire team launches a full-scale, coordinated press. And they have to do it in under 1.5 seconds. The sideline acts like a wall, and the trap is set.
And here's exactly how that trap, the lateral vice, snaps shut. Step 1, the ball enters the zone. That's the trigger. Instantly, step 2, the first defender sprints in, but, and this is key, they cut off the escape route to the inside of the field. Then, step 3, their teammates swarm in, forming a spearhead shape to block every other option. The player is completely boxed in, nowhere to go.
All right, now we're getting into the most advanced stuff. This is where defending becomes almost like playing chess. It's not about pressing the ball. It's about pressing something that hasn't even happened yet. It's about pressing the future.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Here, we don't press the ball, we press the future of the action. The best defensive teams aren't just reacting anymore. They are proactively taking away the other team's best moves before they can even think about making them.
The main technique here is the cover shadow. So instead of a defender just chasing the player who has the ball, they'll cleverly position their own body to block the passing lane to a dangerous opponent behind them. They use their own shadow to make that key player totally invisible to the person on the ball. The ball carrier looks up, sees nothing, and is forced into a bad decision, all without a single tackle being made.
So, we have all these brilliant triggers, right? But an algorithm is totally useless if it isn't executed perfectly. So this is all about the two things that make or break a high-level press team: synchronization and the hard limits of human biology.
Success really boils down to three fundamental principles, which we can call the 3 C's. One player has to close down the ball. At the exact same time, their teammates have to cover the easy passing options, and the whole thing is held together by constant communication to keep everyone organized.
When you get all 3 of those C's working in perfect harmony, you create something analysts call oxygen tactics. The defensive team floods the area around the ball so intensely that the opponent has no space, no time, and no options. You're literally depriving them of the tactical oxygen they need to play football. But here's the catch. You can't maintain that level of intensity forever. The human body just won't let you. As this chart shows, there's a biological wall. For the first 65 minutes of a match, a team's press can be at peak efficiency. But after that point, fatigue kicks in hard, and efficiency plummets by a staggering 40%. And this number right here, 8.3 seconds. This is absolutely critical. The data shows that if your team loses the ball and you fail to win it back within that 8.3-second window, the odds of the other team getting a great scoring chance skyrocket. The clock is always ticking.
So we've covered the systematic triggers, the blind spot, the sideline trap, the cover shadows, but there is one more, a final trigger that isn't really in the playbook. It's the one that the smartest coaches save for the end of the match, for the final act.
It's called the 70th minute trigger, and it's pretty ruthless. This is where data analysts and coaches on the bench identify one single player on the other team who's showing obvious signs of fatigue. A player who puts their hands on their knees or drops their head after a sprint. And that's the signal. The entire team launches an all-in press specifically on that one player to exploit their physical and mental weakness. It's where cold calculation meets human biology.
So when you see the algorithms, the choke zones, the biological timers in these targeted triggers, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As data gets better and better at refining these tactics, is the beautiful game we love, slowly but surely, becoming an exact science? What do you think?